Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Berlin. Welcome to the drive for our press conference. It's called Beyond the Car, and it refers to the digital transformation of Volkswagen that is making good progress. We'll be sharing with you three perspectives today to talk to you about what is going to change in the coming years at Volkswagen, where we're at and where we're headed. Jürgen Stackmann, the head for sales of the Volkswagen passenger car brand, Michael Joost, head of strategy of Volkswagen, and Christoph Hartung today will be talking about where we are headed and how we are gaining speed in the digital transformation. Jürgen, the stage is yours.
Good morning, dear colleagues. Please allow me that I speak in German to you, and I believe that most of you will understand German. I don't see that many headphones. A warm welcome to you. We're going to take a look at the new dimension of the brand Volkswagen, the new services, the new dimension of services, and in doing so we're going to take a look at a transformative achievement of Volkswagen, where we enter a new dimension. We're going to present new perspectives. I've got a customer background, what is happening on the sales side. We've got the perspective of technology, the requirements of technology, which Mr. Joost is going to talk about. And then we've got the customer side, services, which Christoph Hartung is going to present because he's in charge of that area with Volkswagen. Now, let me briefly sketch out the three main phases of development of Volkswagen. You probably know the original product, the Beetle. This was the product which stood for a philosophy, and that made the brand big around the globe. And this was followed by the 1990s until today. The democratization of quality could be the headline. This is what made us stronger, which made us bigger, and it was this positioning top of volume, as we call it. We want to be, and we are being perceived as a brand between the volume manufacturers and premium manufacturers. But the change of technology and the customers' expectations and their change leads us at a high pace into the next transformation phase in the brand of Volkswagen and within the group of Volkswagen as such, because with our technologies we determine the progress of the group. We more strongly focus on the customer in addition to the technology. The customer will be the second essential partner alongside the product itself, and we're going to build services, mobility services around this customer, which are going to bring a added value for the customer and for the group. And we're going to change the business model from a product-focused model to a model where we offer services and products, both across the next years. Beyond the car is the headline for that. The challenge for us, but at the same time, the energy of ours goes into the creation of a digital ecosystem for our customers with a very clear vision. With one access code, they should be able to explore the entire world of Volkswagen. This is what makes Volkswagen big and strong. We have proved that in the past. But when it comes to the dimensions of technology and services, it's a huge challenge for a hardware manufacturer to pull that off. The three dimensions that we're heading towards are sketched out here. It's about the software platform as such. It's about connected features and connected services. Each service just by itself needs to be successful in its own right, but the sum of services is what the wealth of the future, where the wealth of the future lies in. I don't need 50 apps, 50 services anymore, but one would be enough. This is the added value service, and that will allow you to keep your car updated because you can update your software, update your car, upgrade your car across the entire life cycle of your vehicle. And this allows us to stay in contact continuously with the customer. The purpose is to stay in contact and be in contact with our customers every day because they want to use our services. Now let us take a look at the technical part and technical side of things. Michael Joost is going to present them, our strategist who is very strongly involved in the core strategy of the group. He's going to sketch out the transition from hardware to cloud. Michael, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jürgen. It's a pleasure to be here. Strategists normally work in isolation, and now we're here on stage in front of you. Now, today what I'd like to share with you is the strength of our plan and the sustainability of our plans, because often when we talk about new business fields and ecosystems, there's many people that do not fully believe in them, but we do, and I'd like to share that precisely with you. Now, let's first talk about the Volkswagen brand as a role. You know that the Volkswagen brand is a global one. We are a global player. What does that mean? Well, we'll show you what that means. There we are. You know, strategy is faster than images, apparently. But there we are. What does it mean when we're saying that Volkswagen is a global player? And what does it mean going forward? The Volkswagen brand has sold more than 6 million vehicles last year. The VW brand is relevant in all major regions of the world. You see in the percentage numbers of our market share in different parts of the world. You have to be relevant in order to be a player. If you operate Facebook with 10 members, that's no good. That's boring. You have to have a critical mass. You have to be relevant for any market. In the core regions of the world, these are where we are present with almost all of them, and almost all of them more than 10% in terms of market share. And every region of the world are showing a market growth for our brand. We have a plan in those regions, and the plan bears out that we are right. What does that mean in terms of facts and figures? Now, not every day do we really come to the realization of that working here in Europe. We have 66 models in more than 150 markets. More than 80% of all our group vehicles are based on VW technology, i.e. developed in Wolfsburg and then also in our hubs in the world. Based on our MEB platform, the electric car platform, we already have today more than 10 million hard projects that are in the pipeline. 6.2 million vehicles, already said that. Our sales revenues last year was over 80 billion euros, 200,000 employees. We have 45 production plants worldwide in 14 countries. Now, all of that, if you will, is a showcase of our relevance in the marketplace. And what I can share with you is that we are platform professionals. We can scale platforms, we can globalize them, but we can also localize our production. Why? Because in this large production volumes, we are not engaging in an import-export business, but we produce locally in different regions of the world. The MQB and the MEB then will also be rolled out across the world. And I talked earlier about a powerful plan, and that powerful plan already has begun. Back in 2015, we've been sketching out the future. Now, first of all, we had to understand that our SUV campaign is the heart of it all, with which it all began. And it started, the Tiguan in the second generation last year has already been sold 700,000 times. The T-Roc was launched last year, a genuine bestseller vehicle, is going really well. The Touareg has just been launched, the new generation, which is also, as you know, a genuine flagship for our Volkswagen brand. And then, shortly, we'll be launching the T-Cross as a vehicle, and many more products then that you don't tend to see when you're here in Europe, because they're only sold in regional markets. In the United States, we're talking about the Atlas, which is not sold here, but in China it's also available, called the Terramon there. In other words, there's many products that we develop and produce for regional markets because of different expectations, different requirements, different cost structures, etc. So that was phase number one. And we're now getting ready to launch phase number two, which is electromobility. At the same time, however, we also develop a mobility ecosystem, and we'll hear more about that today as we go along. And there, obviously, we want to be a world leader in e-mobility, but also we want to be a leading provider of mobile online services. And then in the third phase, we will be addressing new mobility or mobility as a service, purpose-designed products for defined areas. And all of these will be something that is very important for the future. Now, on the way to get there, we're currently shaping two major transformations. Why is it two transformations? Well, one, I just talked about that, is based on our MQB and MEB matrix system. The MQB is our modular transfers matrix, and many vehicles are built on that platform, and that will be compounded by the electrical system, the MEB. And the vision you see here is one of those products in the new MEB system. And there's another platform that we'll put on top of that, VWOS, the operating system that you have in front of you, basically, your smartphones, which means that all of you already have that operating system in their pockets, be it iOS, be it Android, be it Windows. These are operating systems which allow you to base customer value on. And I'll tell you what that means in our timeline here. Colleagues have asked me not to put too much information in such a chart, but let me say this. The big first genuine transformation is how we turn our vehicles that were based on internal combustion engines and turn them into an electric powertrain. And this is well described with a NEO that has been announced, and we're going to roll that out in 2020, and then you'll see how fast we're going to ramp that up. And we're coming to a product mix of 50-50. We will be having 20 or 30 different internal combustion engine vehicles, but especially in urban vehicles or in urban areas, the share of electric vehicles will be close to 50%. And this transition towards e-mobility, and excuse me for that, that is cut and dried. That decision has been taken, the wave is ongoing, and there's no way to stop that. But a second transformation that's much more difficult and challenging, which we're getting involved in right now, is to transform our brand towards an operating system, and I'll say more about that in a minute. The operating system, VWOS in other words, will be the foundation for our new functionalities. We'll be opening our systems. We're offering a platform to make sure we can get in direct contact with our customers. Now, how do these two transformations now develop? Well, the first one I just talked about and put it in plain terms, and that is our ID family. The ID family is a family of vehicles that is no longer a vision, it's a reality. In other words, things are now running, we're preparing our production plans, suppliers are being made ready. We are also negotiating the terms there, because 2020 is not talk of the future. Now, for me, this is something that has already been decided on. We're supporting that process, but is finalized. And rest assured, this picture certainly is not complete. Therefore, we can be pretty sure that we will be offering a new USP that is different from any other OEM. We are not just doing one e-car or some hybrid or electrified module. Instead, we are offering a complete portfolio from the ID Neo to the ID Bus, from the ID Cross to the ID Vision, and all the different gaps in between will be filled. In other words, this is a comprehensive product offering that will be ramped up in next to no time. In the first ramp-up year of 2020, we are talking about more than 100,000 of those vehicles in terms of volumes, and we go from there. So this path going forward is well described. We're confident it's going to work out well. And now comes our second challenge that we have to embrace, and this is also what we're going to talk about here today. And the question really that it boils down to is, how can we roll out our VW.OS system? And this decision is also driven by the brand positioning, as Jürgen Stackmann has said on many other occasions before. VW is a top of volume. What does that mean? Top of volume means we want to leave our volume competitors behind us, but we also want to move up into the premium sphere by tackling the competitors up there. Now, how do you do that? We want to do four things in a premium fashion. We want to premium in intuitive handling. We want to be premium in connectivity in order to shape the ecosystem. Also in autonomous driving, we want to be a leader in that. And finally, also update and upgrade capability. And this is precisely what Jürgen has just said. We want to remain fresh. Because what happens today? You buy a car today, and after 10 years, obviously is kept in good shape, but it's not adding value over the years. Now, with update and upgrade capability, you can book new functions and new functionalities in your vehicles, new features, new services while you operate a vehicle. You know your iOS system on your Apple machine, and it gets an update that's normally free of charge, new user interface, new features, and new additional benefits that you get, and you increase the value of your device. And some services, obviously, there's a fee to pay for. And this is also the fundamental understanding of our operating system. What it's going to look like, and you can be pretty sure that it's not easy to describe the new operating system in just a couple of slides of a new electric architecture, and how does it tie into our understanding of an operating system. I told you before that we are professionals in platform development, and the same is going to happen here. Let's look at the world of today. Take a Touareg or a Tiguan. Those vehicles have up to 6,000 euros in value of electrical systems, actuators, sensors, wiring harnesses, cables, with up to 70 individual electronic control units. What do? Now, all of those 70 control units will be combined into 4 high-performance computing machines. We put a layer in between, VW-OS we call that, which is our operating system, proprietary on VW vehicles. And on top of that, we're going to add functional decks like a navigation, entertainment, infotainment, but also functional decks that allow you to do updates over the air with a safe data link into the back end. What's going to happen to your new vehicle? You do not want to reprogram your car every time you buy a new generation. If you get your new vehicle, we take the hardware out, but you have the same operating system. You get your new car with the same software on top of it and your individual features. That's a big challenge. How can we manage to do that? There's the hardware underneath, the layer of the operating system, and on top of that our software functions. And then to the right of us, if you will, comes the challenge of how we are going to manage our own company. Because so far we are a hardware-oriented or device-oriented company. We will be hardware and software in the future, and Herbert Diess announced that just the other day. We are becoming a device and a software company, but for that also we need to reform ourselves internally, this organization, to build up new competences, and always what will happen and will make sense to forge alliances, cooperations, joint ventures ranging from startups all the way to the big players. Now, where the journey is headed is something that Jürgen will now share with you. How do we get started with our new digital ecosystems? And he's also going to talk about the lifestyles of our customers, of whom we want to be an important partner. For that, may I ask Jürgen to come to the stage again.
Well, that's always the beauty about strategies. When it's about realization, you would have done the job already and you're moving on to the next task. But that's what's so good about this division of tasks to master the challenges, and I'm sure that we're going to pull it off quite well. We know our business around platform. Now, what about the angle from a customer's point of view? The vision for the brand Volkswagen can be clearly described, and many keep on saying that we're leaving something and creating something else. That's how we change, but that's not totally right. We are going to stay a manufacturer of excellent products. That's going to be and stay our core business, but this core business is going to be extended significantly. Volkswagen cars are going to turn into devices on wheels, become part of the web, become part of the ecosystem from our perspective, and particularly from the customer's perspective, which is the most important thing. Without the customer accepting that ecosystem, all that is not going to happen, and we're now connected with our customers on an everyday basis. That's a huge challenge and a positive challenge for us. Customers of customers are becoming part of the ecosystem, and Volkswagen is going to build this platform on which these mobility services can run. The core idea is you register one, you log in one, and then you've got all the services at your disposal. That's the added benefit from a customer's perspective within the group. And we want to design the mobility of the future ourselves. Now, let's take a look at the requirements that need to be fulfilled, not only from a technical, but also from an organizational and sales perspective. From a customer perspective, it can be clearly described what you are experiencing in many services that you are at home with, that you use yourself with your smartphones. You know that these services, they thrive on being convenient. You don't want to have ruptures in between various services. You don't want to see differences between the online and offline world. No matter where you are, you want to have a good data connection. Data needs to flow, and whenever somebody contacts you, they need to know why they contact you. And we want to establish that connection in the online and offline world. The only connection that really counts is the customer. And we want to design the world of the customer to the extent they wish it. They remain being the masters of their own data. That's essential. The purpose is, with one customer ID, you make this world experienceable for the customer. Now let's take a look at the distribution model that we grew up in. It has been around from scratch, from the very first day of Volkswagen on. We were the OEM. We developed the vehicles, designed them. They would be sent to the importer, to the dealer, and the dealer gives the cars then to the customer. The customer only has a relationship with their own dealer, not to the importer, and least of all to the OEM. And it's self-explaining, I believe, that for a fluent communication, a communication that would be perceived as being easy and smooth, that this requires these various elements to be dovetailed. To reconfigure the system, we need major work to be done, which we did with our European dealers over the last one and a half years. Such a successful business model that has proven its worth over 80 years now needs to be reconfigured and questioned. We're going to arrange ourselves around the customer, the OEM, the importers, dealers. All of these parties are going to establish a network of knowledge around the customers to service the customer, provide new information to the customer. And so far, as a manufacturer, we did our value adding around the ID of the chassis. This is where we found our added value that's going to change. The vehicle identification on the right-hand side will be complemented by the customer ID, one ID for the entire system, which would always be there. And in addition to that, we will always have the preferred partner, the preferred dealer. We believe that we need a face on the market. The customer needs to have a physical touch point, somebody he knows, somebody who takes care of the customer. And this magical triangle is going to become the essential instrument and tool for the reshaping of our business model over the next couple of years. Now, what does this business model look like? The old business model that we're still carrying out is the vehicle and the services around it. We are the experts. We've done a good job, and you can read it in each press conference where we present the annual statements. You see how successful we are. But in the future, there will be a huge advantage from a customer's point of view when they start using electric mobility. Service costs will be significantly lower, maintenance will be lower, and we see that new web platforms are going to enter into this field, into this business, trying to attract customers for themselves. We need to discover new value chains for the brand, for the entire organization. And this is where we're building a new ring around this core business, which we call a circle of services, which can be broken into 4 sectors. Services that can take place in the car, upgrades of the car. The car stays up to date until you recycle it in 15 years' time. There will be services around the car as a next segment. The car can find its own parking place. It would be connected to delivery services, charging services to support e-mobility, and there are also services which don't have anything to do with owning a car. Fleet services, car sharing services, which we're going to offer. This is the world that we're going to immerse in. And after 2.5 years of work on this system, we're now at a point where we can show you where we stand and what the next steps are. We call this new world Volkswagen We, which is an ecosystem of Volkswagen services, which describes that you have all services ready at your disposal with only one login. And there is nobody else better to explain these services but the one who is in charge of these services. The new business model, Christoph Hartung, is in charge of that.
Thank you very much, Jürgen and Michael. It's a very nice account, it has been, of where we're coming from. And now let's talk about where we're going, where we're headed. Now, number one, the ecosystem. Our ecosystem that will allow us to create a community. Now, in order to put that into practice, we need something new. We need something that brings together the vehicle and the electric architecture, VWOS, and reaches out to the customer. Now, something that has only happened so far within the car or within the vehicle infrastructure is already becoming increasingly interconnected. Well, that means also we integrate our vehicles into our one digital platform. That digital platform comes with two parts. One of it is managing a connected fleet of vehicles. Every year, there's 6 million vehicles that are fully connected that we roll out in different markets. Michael Jost has just shown you a moment ago. Now, all of these vehicles have to be managed differently if you are going to use them on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, or a monthly basis as network participants. Now, while these are online at all times, you can also offer digital services like the digital vehicle key or digital services around the vehicle 24/7. The second element of the platform is our customer side, something that we use to manage our new business or new business models potentially. And we're very open to integrate also third-party services. We're open for new ideas, for innovative business models. And this is clearly where we are having a competitive edge. We have the global reach as a global player. We will be an attractive platform for people that are innovative, pioneering minds who will be happy to get involved. But that customer platform is also open for our retail partners. If dealers want to interact with their customers, either on the central display, the instrument cluster in the vehicle, or our central VW app, then those dealers can also do that and generate business through this customer contact. Now let's have a look at what we're going to do in the future and what are we going to make centrally available for all markets and all regions of the world. This is obviously ambitious, but the question is, how do we put that into practice? How can you establish end-to-end communications with a vehicle being built and then delivered to the customer and then being operated by the customer? Normally, we have had individual services that we put out on tender for different suppliers, for a Golf, for a Passat, for a Tiguan, for different vehicle models. In other words, this is not going to work anymore in the digital world. We will have to reorganize ourselves also internally and also to develop the individual customer contact, which is always based on that one digital platform. So that also means that we've learned a lot. It also means that we will be partnering up with new associates. We want to develop this strategy together. Now, we start with a vehicle, of course, hardware, and then also move into the device platform. We will be talking about potential acquisitions of partners, but also develop our own in-house competence that will also allow us to scale that in the future. Mr. Dies mentioned that in those past days. Software engineering, software development, all of that we want to do in order to manage our vehicles better. But on the service side of things, we also think about investments, cooperations and joint ventures in order to develop new organizational forms, new supply chains to make sure that we can ensure the continuity of the end-to-end product. And then finally, the question comes up, how do we manage technology? Because technology is something that creates new demand and obviously offers also new services. Now, touch feasibilities or functionalities have been disruptive for all of our businesses. And I think the next biggest disruption is voice natural language understanding. We're just ramping that up. And we also see how these voice-controlled functions can be used also in vehicles and operating vehicles. Now, Jürgen has said that we are a hardware company and we are obviously not going to be the best technology provider. We don't want to be the best technology provider, really. We are instead heading in another direction. We want to engage in strategic cooperations to move forward together in partnership with others, and we want to create, if you will, the basis of a connected ecosystems for partners, and then with those partners we'll be making many things possible in the future. But moving away from the platform idea, let me talk about what we offer our customers, what we want to promise our customers. What is Volkswagen doing, and how our Volkswagen We ecosystem of the future caters to that? We have We at My Car services, We Connect, and We Connect Plus, which is already our standard connectivity of our existing fleet. What does that mean? Every vehicle has a serial connect services. None of our future vehicles will not come with online capability and connectivity. And it will be you, the customers, to decide whether on that basis of connectivity you add more services, like We Connect Plus or others that I'll tell you about in a moment, or you say, no, that's perfectly enough. You get e-call and emergency call services and basic services that you need in order to interact with your vehicle, and that is fine for me. And that's good enough. But then you can add more on that basis. There are remote services. We know what these are. Our customers can diagnose the vehicle working remotely with the vehicle. So also you keep your vehicle up to date. So that's all within that segment of At My Car. But there's another segment, Around the Car. Two examples to show what we mean here. One type of services is called location-based services. You know that really well. If you open Google Maps on your device, which probably is the best location platform we have out there in the marketplace, well, it shows you where you are, how you're moving around, how you're navigating. You get context information depending on where you are. We Park as a service is precisely that. 20 to 25% of all interurban traffic or inner urban traffic is looking for a place to park your car. Well, we can do better than that, and we have to integrate services. We Park already is available as a smartphone-based app. No small change to pay your parking place. You can fully integrate that. You have a customer experience that is seamless that we can offer. And this system will be deeply integrated into the infotainment platforms or systems of our vehicles and go from there. There's another cluster, our car access-based services. Now, you may know that if you come back home and you have that note in your letterbox saying parcel delivery service wanted to deliver your package and you were not there and they had to take it back. You were looking forward to that delivery, your new book, your new device that you bought online. Well, why not use your vehicle for that? We know at any point in time where your vehicle is located. Obviously, you're driving around during the day, but for the better part of the day, it's stationary. So we can have your delivery service go to your car and deposit your delivery there in your boot. This is only one example for car access-based services. We have many new ideas coming from startup partners. You can clean your vehicle. You can deliver fresh foods to your car. You can return your clean laundry to your vehicle while it's parked somewhere. Or a bit of a challenge for me on the Saturday, I never feel like, going back to the post office to return your parcels that you do not require anymore. So what you do, you leave your parcel in your car and have someone pick it up from the boot when they're ready, and also when you're ready. And there's another element in the Around the Car segment. It's about fleet management, because in our community we also want to offer services to the final customer of our vehicles. But then we know pretty well that many of our vehicles are not operated by individuals, but by fleet managers or by different drivers. Fleet operators or fleet managers have different expectations when it comes to the connectivity of a fleet. And we understand that that is so, and therefore have developed a number of services for that. Now let's move on to the other two segments, intermodal and e-mobility. So far, we have not made any major announcements. There have been a number of teasers out there. Today, however, we would like to share with you two introductions here, two new innovations. Now, the new MEBs, when they come in early 2020, we launch them in the marketplace. And obviously, one thing that goes right to the heart of the philosophy of such an electric car is how to charge it, right? Charging for us means we charge. We charge is not just a charging column somewhere by the roadside. We charge is an integrated charging experience that may take place inside the car, outside the car. If you use our wall box with your own electricity contract, with your own charge cable or a rented one, whether you use a public charging infrastructure in the city of Berlin, or you use an Ionity charging base that's available across the motorway network in Germany managed by a partner, all of these will be managed seamlessly without any additional hassle and problems. Now, We Charge also organizes charging and enhancing the good driving range of our e-vehicles. We believe this is a very good USP that will lead to the common acceptance of e-mobility in society, and we believe that our new vehicles plus We Charge will be there to stay as USPs. Now here's another one, intermodality. Mobility on a platform comes from a Volkswagen world, right? Obviously, we're still selling cars. Jürgen Stackmann has told you about that. So this is what we have been strong in, where we have been strong in. But in the future, we would like to open ourselves up for user groups that were not associated with Volkswagen, and they don't want possibly to be associated with a traditional car maker anymore. And therefore, it is my great pleasure for the first time to announce something today that we believe is the most powerful, one of the most powerful instruments, We Share. We Share is our zero-emission mobility program for everyone. No matter whether you're using a car today, yes or no, we will offer We Share as a free-floating sharing platform, and we have the first version of We Share here in the room today, and it's a great pleasure to launch that product here and introduce it. Now there it is, the e-Golf. The e-Golf is an electric car-sharing platform, and I'll say what that mobility platform is about. Now, first of all, we're going to roll that out in Berlin, in the city of Berlin. It's not going to be a pilot or a test project. In the second quarter of next year, the second half year, that is, we're going to be productive. Productive, what does that mean? We'll be launching a fleet of 1,500 e-Golfs, and then with additional e-Ups and MEB vehicles, we'll add the vehicle population there, and this is something that we're going to use also on our future electric vehicle systems. And this is only the beginning. We believe Berlin is exactly the city to start that project in. This is where we are looking at the people here in Berlin, the structures, the infrastructure as well. So to have a city space like this one here is, I think, conducive to the We Share campaign. But before, after that, in fact, after we've started in Berlin, we're going to launch it also in other cities in Germany, Europe, and North America. In other words, this is also an electric platform or mobility platform on which we can add additional services. This floating We Share platform is only the beginning. Finally, and briefly, let me round it all off and tell you what we have learned in the customer's perspective development now. In the future, we're going to update and upgrade services and capabilities, new features developed by us or by third parties, enhancing the mobility of our customers also across the life cycle of a vehicle, be personalized and customized, and offer mobility concepts to our customers of today that will be radically different from what we can expect in the future. Tomorrow, i.e. in the future, the customer will be in the heart of it all. And all of that we've summarized in a brief video clip, and it's my pleasure to roll that one now. Thank you.
So, Volkswagen We also. Klare Sache. Menschen im Zentrum und eine ganze Menge Volkswagen-Dienste außenrum. Interessant ist, dass alle Dienste verbunden sein werden. Und jetzt kommt's. Mit einem sogenannten Single Sign-On zugänglich sind. Also, einmal rein und fertig. Volkswagen We, das ist eine neue Haltung. Mobilität als Bewegung. Von A nach B, aber auch von jetzt in die Zukunft. Vom Auto hin zum Menschen. Schauen wir uns das mal genauer an. Die meisten neuen Fahrzeuge werden von Anfang an We Connect haben. Ähnlich wie CarNet, aber jetzt von vornherein vernetzt. We Connect Plus wird die Premium-Variante mit noch mehr Möglichkeiten sein. Wer ganz viele Autos managen muss, wird in Zukunft We Connect Fleet nehmen. So, damit bin ich jetzt also drin und vernetzt. Online habe ich viele Infos im Auto, zum Beispiel Tankstellenpreise. Das Handy wird zur Fernbedienung. Auto entsperren, Temperatur einstellen. Aber auch sehen, wo mein Fahrzeug steht oder wo meine Flotte unterwegs ist. Volle Kontrolle und alles im Blick. We Connect Go rüstet kompatible Gebrauchtwagen so auf, dass sie auch vernetzt sind. Aber da geht noch mehr. We Park. Parken und bezahlen so, wie es sein sollte. Centgenau, ohne Kleingeld, per App. Mit We Charge wird Laden von E-Autos zukünftig super easy. Auch We Deliver wird eine super Sache sein, denn der Kofferraum wird zur Paketstation. Bei We Experience wird mein Auto mitdenken und mir Empfehlungen geben. Zum Beispiel Vorteile bei Supermärkten und Tankstellen. Unter Volkswagen We läuft zukünftig auch noch ein Loyalitätsprogramm. Damit kann ich bei der Nutzung von Diensten oder auch beim Händler Punkte sammeln und mir später was gönnen. Das digitale Ökosystem Volkswagen We öffnet und erweitert sich permanent. Es wird einen API-Marktplatz geben, über den kreative Entwickler eigene Mobilitäts-Apps einbringen können. Aber auch wir als Dienstenutzer können mitgestalten. Mobilität als Bewegung im doppelten Sinn. Jeder ist eingeladen mitzumachen und je mehr wir werden, desto größer wird We. Volkswagen We.
Ja, jetzt kommen wir zu dritt hier zusammen und ich
Well,
möchte ganz zum Abschluss noch ein paar Zahlen.
now it's the three of us joining here on the stage. I'd like to add some facts and figures if you're interested in these facts. So what are we going to invest? What are our plans for the years to come? So I'm first going to share some data and then I'm going to move on to and pass on the floor to the colleagues. We've got two dimensions in this platform. One reaches into the core business. Logically, of course, we're expecting, and that can be gleaned from the beginnings that we're looking at. One of the programs will be presented by Christoph. It's about creating loyalty for the core business and the brand organization. Within the brand organization, we've got an excellent loyalty by customers, which we still want to increase, not because we have to, but because customers will find the system so interesting that they don't want to leave the brand organization. Now, in terms of dimensions, we are expecting that from 2020 on, that we're going to integrate 5 million new customers annually into this new ecosystem in the large regions, China, Europe, and North America. Everybody would become automatically a member of this organization. And as Christoph has already laid out, the customer always determines themselves how much they want to have, how deep they want to go into this ecosystem, but they are fundamentally always a member of this platform. For 2025, we're expecting, and my finance colleague would probably say by latest 2025, we expect 1 billion sales from this platform, not the core business, but from these mobility services. It's probably going to be more by that point in time. Based on the experiences of the first 2 years, we have learned that our goals are indeed pretty realistic and they can even be surpassed in this period. Now, the investment volume, it's a little bit more difficult to determine because we have to invest into technology. What you see here is the investment into the world of services, left to my side, operations, operating and managing We Share, but also investment into the creation and development of these services. We're investing 0.5 billion, 500 million euros annually into this slot. You can glean that also from the topics. Christoph's team 2 years ago comprised 50 people. That was the core team. Now this team has grown to 200 members, which is going to double in a very near future. And then when it comes to acquisitions, we're going to even extend that team significantly through acquisitions, and shows you how important this part of business is going to be for us. Michael, what do you think? Well, I would say that we are very confident that we're going to pull it off. And what is also important for you to know, what we all said, is that we want to keep things fresh. Everything is going to stay fresh. What would be an iPhone if it weren't upgraded by new services? Otherwise, it would be obsolete after 1.5 years of existence. And the residual value is a very important value for fleet managers and for everybody who has spent a lot of money on an individual car. It needs to stay fresh, needs to stay updated, upgraded on a continuous basis. And that's an added value for us, for customers, for fleet managers, and I'm very confident. Right. At this juncture, we'd like to give you a short glimpse onto Volkswagen We. So, show of hand, who owns and drives a Volkswagen? Quite a number indeed, and maybe some of you in your own environment, amongst your friends, you have other owners of Volkswagen cars. We'd like to give you this data plug. We Connect Go is the name of it, so that you can take it home and you can experience yourself what it means to connect a vehicle that has not been connected yet today. What kind of services, what kind of basic considerations are part of the package? I'm looking forward to getting your feedback on this. Thank you very much already at this juncture. Maybe you can tell us something on the success of that device, which has been basically on the market for a very short period of time. We've seen exponential growth. How many of these units have been distributed? Now, we started the roll-off of this plug for Europe. We're going to move to China, South America, Mexico. More specifically, we have 300,000 registered users. So far, so good. With these million of other users, sounds little, but what, from our perspective, is a major success is that out of these 300,000 users, 170,000 of them use that on a daily basis, which goes to show that these services, once they've been rolled out to the customer, once you design them in a consistent manner, that customers are ready to pay for these services and use them. And that enables us to stay in continuous contact with our customers in a dialogue. Thank you very much to these three gentlemen, and I'd like to ask you to, well, fire away with your questions. We're going to take time for your questions and answers. One request from me, please mention the journal that you come from or the media that you come from, and then we can give it a go. Thank you very much, Christian. Netzner, Automotive New Europe. 3 questions, if you will. How many of these 3.5 billion are earmarked for acquisitions? Or would that be a separate budget item? Maybe you can give us a ballpark figure. As of today, you've got only a couple of hundreds software developers employed in the group. How many software developers do you need to put your plans into a reality? Are we looking at 1,000 software developers or even more than that? And once the car is connected, it is probably also open to hacker attacks. What is your cyber security strategy? Can you explain that? What's going to happen with these cymotive technologies in Israel? Thank you.
Okay, I'll get started on taking the technical question. Cymotive, the one you mentioned, is a subsidiary company. Now, for those of you who haven't heard that, out of Israel, we are integrated into our EE, which is the Electronic and Electric Development Department. We develop a number of security concepts. That's very important because security has to be developed by design. In other words, your systems have to be secure when they are developed, and not only something to be added on top of that, but also during validation of systems and testing, they are an element of the VWOS. intrusion detection systems, black-white box testing, validation of our platforms in everyday use. All of these are elements of our new security strategy. And the We world, together with Rolf Zöller, who is in charge of the EE department, work together, because security can only work if it's designed end-to-end. Allow me to say a word on software engineers. I don't think we can come up with a conclusive answer in terms of how many people we need, because there are different developers we need for component developments for the VW OS system. We're no longer buying the software stacks and introduce them into our systems. No, we want to develop them ourselves with partners under the project lead, also the intellectual property lead of Volkswagen, mind you. And that's very important also when we connect our services with cloud platforms. Now, organically, we are not going to manage that only. We are going to work a lot with new acquisitions and partnerships. So that's number one. And second is services. Every service has a software and an operations component. And some of these services that are very software heavy, others are very lean to operate. So it depends on what we're talking about here. Services, operations, and business modeling. Operations on the software side of things, we're in good shape. Maybe something my colleagues would like to share on the technology side of things. Right, okay, your question was how many software engineers do we need? How many can we hire? 100, 200, 300, maybe 1,000 in the future? That would be a rough and ready figure. I'd like to remind you that we're using 70 control units in our vehicles, but we buy them externally. So what does that mean? It's billions of euros of software services that we buy while they're incorporated in a hardware product, like an electronic control unit. So how can we change that? We are using 3 software stacks today for just the navigation system. We don't need those. I think we can come down to 1 software stack, I think, for SatNav. In other words, step by step, we're going to ramp up our internal competence while at the same time teaming up with external partners. And we'll see how far we get. I think 1,000 is certainly a number that's not taken out of the blue. That's certainly not hitting a wall when we talk about 1,000 software engineers. Okay, transformation in sales. That's on my plate. We are very hardware-oriented, that's true. And our sales organization is obviously organized globally, but in our organization, we now use a 10% share of services rather than hardware deliveries. So already services account for a sizable part of our business, and that also increases our requirements of human resources. So it's quite clear we have to make our core business more efficient, leaner, and then also free up capacities for new services. And you had a question earlier also about investments. Well, I think it's 2 different answers here. $500 million goes for services plus acquisitions on top of that. So these are 2 separate strands. Maybe you ask Dr. Dies, because I'm sure he will come up with more exact answers. But let me come back to what we heard before about internal transformation and software development. This is not only an end-to-end process between the driver or the customer and the vehicle, but also it harks back to our organization. We work internally with IT, with EE development, with our regional structures, because only when we join forces can we make that happen. We have intense working relationships with our labs that are also ramping up right now. 200 meters from here, the Johanneshof is our lab that develops those services. And it also means our traditional organization, the company, is migrating to become really a collaborative platform. Next question is from Sebastian Beug.
Sebastian Beug, Bills in Berlin. I'm very interested in the car-sharing project that you're going to start here in Berlin. In which area are you going to establish this free-floating concept in Berlin? What kind of charging infrastructure are you going to install or use in order to implement your car-sharing services? And what would be looking at cost-wise? Are you going to bill per minute, per kilometer? There's basically a benchmark of 39 cents.
This will be a segment or business segment that will be one that we're already operating here in Berlin. It will be maybe slightly expanded. Why? We want to make sure that the vehicle availability is always guaranteed. Therefore, we're very committed to getting it done now. What is our commitment? Well, we want to offer sustainable mobility and electrical systems. This is also why we're not using traditional internal combustion engines, but electric ones. How do we charge them? Rightly so, you're asking this question. We're already talking with our partners from Urban Mobility. That's also here in Berlin, in the Johanneshof office block. And we are currently planning to establish a network of independent charging stations. Plus, we're going to team up with public utilities and also develop a number of concepts together. As far as pricing is concerned, we will have to follow up on that question a little later. We're having some ideas right now because we believe availability and pricing have to be more customer friendly than they currently are, and you can expect more information to come from us in the future. We're going to launch in the second quarter, so towards the beginning of that launch we will talk to you again, because this is competitive information and we would like to release that as late as possibly can be done. And there was another question from the back of the room, please.
Stefan Lange, Wall Street Journal. I'd like to get back to the question of the colleague. There are 329 charging stations in Berlin, according to the grid agency. How much money do you want to invest? You talked about 1,500 vehicles. So I needed some more details on that, if you will.
Well, if you like, we can talk later about our charging concept, if you like. If you look at our current mobility fleet and how people actually drive e-vehicles, obviously the e-Golf and the e-Up would be a perfect match because the driving range is very appropriate. So at low mobility times, if you will, we should charge vehicles. Now, what does that mean? We are going to take those vehicles in charging pools and then connect them in certain periods. So that's one. If you use a public charging infrastructure, and if the customer is willing to charge their car in the public infrastructure, that's good enough. But they don't have to, because our vehicle is sharing friendly, and it can be charged in different places. As far as exact figures are concerned and what our capital expenditure will be, we will be able to say once we have the partnership agreements with our partners and when we finally build the hardware, the charging hardware. About charging, we're also thinking about mobile quick charging systems. So ideally, and why not, if you don't need a vehicle at any given time, or if it's parked somewhere and we can actually drive up to that car and charge it fast with a mobile system, with a fast charging infrastructure that we have available in the Volkswagen Group, and then we can do that to decentralize this charging process. Let me add that if you manage hardware and software together, then this is quite helpful. With the MEB platforms, we're going to be a good player in the sharing business because our new vehicles have much dramatically longer driving ranges. They don't require frequent charging. So if you manage that process properly, you can always make sure that you get your vehicle to the charging point if and when they need that. And that's a major advantage of having a technology leadership and also managing the product on top of that. And then finally, let me add, we have 300 kilometers of driving range with the e-Golf. The MEB world does 400 up to 600 kilometers of driving range. In other words, you don't have to charge your car every day, but say every week. And this will generate a lot of business users. And I think the driving range of our new vehicles will be very convenient also for manual charging, for people to charge whenever they need that. And I think we can roll out such a charging infrastructure rather quickly.
Henrik Motzig, Tagesspiegel. I've got two questions. One question regarding car sharing. Now in Berlin, we've got more than 2,000 car-sharing vehicles. There is a vivid debate about the question whether this would not be too much for the city. Do you have the city office space enough for yet another set of car-sharing vehicles. I missed your daughter Moya. Ride pooling, ride sharing, how does that fit into the We world?
Let me take the second question first. Moya is a service that refers to mobility on demand, someone else driving the vehicle for you. And this is also how we've launched the product in the pilot operations. Now, We is vehicle on demand. So a self-driving system, self-driving of the driver, in other words. So that could be a free-floating sharing system where the driver or the customer decides to drive a car. Now, obviously, We Share and Moya will be integrated into one platform. And whenever that is available, these can be put together. And that actually shows you what the potential of Volkswagen is as a group. We can offer seamless mobility offerings and also put them into practice, no matter what platform they come from. Now, for instance, if you're a user but you don't own a VW car and we only you use Moya, but even then, as a Moya user, as soon as We Share is available in this city, you can use your same sign-on or your ID also to use that system. So we're not going to separate services, brands, and vehicles. This is a single sign-on. Once you're in, you're in. And you can use that ID with all of our different service strands. But Moya is not a service that you can use to travel across the country or across the continent. Moya is a very metropolitan-based service, if you will, or available in inner cities. And coming back to your first question, yes, we are convinced that Berlin is a city that can do with more vehicles, and we have been looking at the situation here. We wanted to understand really digital business models. We talked to the customers. We talked to customers about what they want, what they would like to see, what they're using now, and what they wish to be better in the future. And we realized there clearly is the demand there, and people want vehicles on demand. And more than anything, Berlin is the place that will need it. Next question, please.
Luca Leicht from Auto Motorsport. You've been talking about partners in all areas. We heard about charging. It's very clear that you need to charge electric vehicles, no question about that. We talked about package delivery services. Which partners do you have there? Who else would be a possible partner for this We space?
Let me talk about the car access-based services. We were surprised ourselves, but there has been some very positive feedback because we started parcel deliveries. You know, that would be a potential business model. And then all of a sudden, big food chains, and I'm not allowed to tell you the names of the big food distributors or other companies that contacted us and said, hey, look, every day I'm spending so much time to try and deliver parcels to customers who are not at home, and we're wasting time, and therefore I want to have a situation where this is improved. If you have overnight deliveries, your return rates dramatically drop. So the return rate of a parcel depends on when you deliver it to the customer. So there are companies that are highly interested in use those new structures to develop their services with us because we're such a broad-based provider, and therefore for them the catchment area for their delivery services is very promising. Mr. Leicht, maybe I'll come back to that again. What partners you are asking? We already work with a number of partners for our services now. Now, since we are a relevant platform, we will be very attractive or appealing for others. I mean, 1,000 cars in a car is no good for those services. It's not an attractive proposition. But then I'm convinced that because we are going to roll up our system very solidly and very fast, we are going to reach out to new great creative minds. We're not the only creative guys in the industry. There are thousands out there. And obviously, we would like to team up with them in order to develop new business cases. This will create more dynamics, I'm sure, and it's very hard to say at this point where the new partnerships will come up, and there will be more in the future, I'm sure. Just now you talked about how you're using a vehicle as an access point for deliveries, so where people can deposit your parcel in the boot and take it out again. Now, we've piloted that project with We Experience. In We Experience, we work with a number of service providers in a defined catchment area. If you know when you are in which area, how your car moves, you can actually make a business proposition when you are in the area. I mean, it makes no sense to offer someone a cinema ticket in Dresden when your vehicle is in Berlin. And the system knows where your car is. So this creates good benefits. You know, a service station may give you a discount for the car wash while you're there, etc. So I think these location-based or car-based services is something that many customers, I'm sure, will be appreciative of. If your fuel tank is close to empty and the system tells you here's the next fuel station, it gives you a discount, I mean, obviously this is appreciated. And the field of potential partners is unlimited, I should say, at the moment. Anybody who has an interest and will be looking for engaging with our customers can do that. And precisely, yes, we're building a platform here that is open-ended in terms of new partners, of new developments in that ecosystem.
Meyer, Wirtschaftswoche. If I understood you correctly, it's basically the iOS store, which could have served as an example. And during the 10 years of the existence of the iPhone, it has brought a lot of sales for Apple. Now, looking into the future, autonomous driving, then entertainment and apps are going to become increasingly important in cars. Can you develop a vision about what that means for Volkswagen, also in terms of sales, and what kind of ideas you might be able to generate? Do you exclude that in the near future Apple is going to launch a very similar system that would work as smoothly as that of Volkswagen?
Well, question about ruling things out, well, we cannot comment. We were going to announce the partners that we're going to work with, and it's going to take a while until Christmas. There will be a number of announcements that you can expect. And then you would have to ask you wait until then. Now, there was a number of reasons why we didn't come up with specific numbers here. 2 or 3 years ago, when we started to look into that project, we were not really aware of what's realistic, what's unrealistic, what's dreamland, what is not. And now, for the range of services in the regions, now will be very tangible. So 1 billion euros of sales by 2025 is what we currently calculate, factor in as a business scope. It's like a mega startup, really, that we are launching here, if you will. And anything that goes beyond that, obviously, beyond the 1 billion will be appreciated. But we want to be realistic at the moment, also as far as CapEx is concerned. And Michael Jost has told you before that now, when we talk about 2020 to 2025, which is a next phase that will already be doing a lot when it comes to new technical developments in terms of self-driving systems, autonomous driving. So you can expect even more services, a new deployment inspiration, if you will. But this is still a lot of lofty ideas and fantasies, and I don't think we can hard nail that down with specific numbers. But the numbers we've shared with you today is our minimum expectation, and we certainly want more going beyond that. Again, without giving you a specific number, mobility as a service will be looking at a timeline of 2025, and there's some regions where this will launch earlier and others probably later. Autonomous driving in America, China, and Europe will probably be following in a different sequence because of the different legal environment, legislation, etc. But the profit pool, as we refer to it, is huge, and therefore we're dealing with it very intensely. And when we're dealing with stuff, it's not small numbers. And we will be participating in these new projects. And again, it's a major technical challenge, the technological challenge to implement autonomous driving systems. Now, as a strategist, people say autonomous driving and using that as a catch-all phrase. Well, it's not. It's different levels, it's different environmental conditions, different driving conditions, and some of the autonomous driving levels are achievable to 80% in the foreseeable future. But again, 2025 will start a new development there. But this potential is only there for us if we are single-minded about what we do now, before 25. Otherwise, it will just remain very lofty and not realistic. Next question, please.
Frank Mertens, Autogazette and Electrified. My questions go to Mr. Hartung. Could you first explain how you want to differentiate and distinguish with your offerings from that of other manufacturers, charging function, parking functions? And I'd like to also know whether there are country-specific applications for China, say, services that are being developed for particular foreign markets.
Let me start with the second question first here also. It's a very important distinguishing feature of our platform. Why? The platform will standardize your cloud access and your customer relationship. Services or customer-based services will be highly customized, not only in terms of customers, but also in terms of countries. In China, there'll be different business models, different providers. Customers in China expect entirely different customer relationships, or customers in Austria or in America will expect that as well. So it also means you will have to have a specific platform that allows you to be open-ended and bring together different players. That would be the first part of the answer. And the second part of the answer is, how do we distinguish ourselves from competitors? Well, we have to offer something that is a comprehensive platform and that offers a single experience to the customer, an easy one. Of course, I'm sure that you also know that other competitors offer something that is an equivalent of the e-Golf. Our e-Golf has 300 kilometers of driving range. We believe for a vehicle sharing project that is a USP, because we're the only ones that offer a fully electric car sharing project in that order of magnitude that we've mentioned before. And then, conversely, we are not stopping there. We are not offering a free-floating system, but sharing will then be continued. We will continue to develop it. Today, as we speak, we have 70 million vehicles in our car population worldwide. Every year, more than 6 million from VW or 11 million from the group added every year. And we are in intense discussions right now with our subsidiary brands in terms of offering products for our existing vehicle fleets at the moment, i.e. offer sharing across the board right now as we speak. And there's a second aspect to that. WePark is a parking app that we already offer now. And obviously focusing on Germany, and there's many customers that are already using that, highly positively rated. People are very happy with the WePark service. And the second stage we're going to launch now is the full integration of the product. Because if you're looking for a parking space, you don't want to open your app on the smartphone. Your car should know when you are looking for a parking space. And then, obviously, ideally, your car will ask you on the screen, are you looking for a parking space? You say yes, and then you click on that. And if you want to stop the parking period, then also click that other button on the screen. And that's a major opportunity for us now to bring those services that already exist in apps and integrate them into our product, into our car, in other words. And that creates really a wow effect for the customer. Wow, my car knows what I want. And exactly for that, we need to reach out to our customers, to the location of where a car is located at any point in time, and then also the services that we have. And then this creates genuine customer power, I think.
Thomas Maischak, Autogefühl. Now, looking at ecosystems and focusing on the eco part of these systems, what are your considerations regarding sustainability? How can that topic be advanced so that mobility as such can be designed in a more sustainable manner?
One example, of course, is a sharing service that is called zero emission. Zero emissions for today is a major challenge in operational terms of things. So we believe we have the right technology that it takes to make that possible. We have the right vehicles to make that possible. That's number one. But then, also in the future, we want to increase the usage of services. Obviously, there's other peer-to-peer services that you can expect that will allow people to use them more often than vehicles are used these days. And the same is also true for fleet managers. In fleet management, you can reduce your overall fleet population by boosting efficiency or sustainability, and to make sure that people drive those vehicles more than so far. I think the services can do both. A specific benefit for the customer to reduce costs, increase efficiency, and at the same time also, in total, the upshot will be that you do a positive thing for sustainability. Individually, by one product and by the combination of different products in one system. That's always our claim. Please, can we have more questions?
Beate Kranz from Funk and Media Group. Now, I'd like to know more about that package delivery into the boot of the car. When would it start? At what point in time? And how would the car be opened? How can we prevent the car from being stolen in the process of this?
Well, there's a broad-based pilot project that we've conducted here in Berlin, very successfully so, and we had really good positive user feedback. And now, as a sneak preview, if you will, I can tell you that we are going to implement that system in existing vehicles, including also with the ones with a conventional engine, which means that the beginning of 2019 and the new vehicles coming out in 2019 will have that service, can have that service on board, and we can offer it across the board. Question number 2, how can we avoid vehicle theft or parcel theft? Well, for parcel deliveries, you need what is called a remote unlock feature. So you can open the vehicle remotely. The immobilizer of the car will not be deactivated. And that's very important. These are two systems in the car as well. We're separating one thing from the other. Neither the customer, nor the delivery person, nor anybody else will get access to the unlocking or immobilizer secret of the car. This is an encapsulated system that is not activated when you open the boot, because that key function is handed over only once. The remote unlock function is issued only once, and then the customer will have to issue another remote function. At the end of the day, the driver or the owner of the car has the final say. Okay, once again, the unlock feature for parcel delivery happens only one time. Take Amazon or any other shopping provider with whom you can designate that DHL drops your parcel not in front of your door, but in the boot. But you authorize the remote unlocking function just on one account for that one service.
Well, we see that there are no more questions. Obviously, I want to thank the three protagonists on the stage who will be at your disposal, of course, to answer questions. And we're going to open a new room in this space, in this design center, this drive center, which is called the We space, where the ecosystem of the We world can be experienced. And this We space is going to become part of the community in Berlin. We're going to have and host a kickoff event of the IFA, and the Berlin Startup Night is going to take place here. On that occasion, we're going to get into contact with young dedicated colleagues. This will be open now, and you will get some snack if you want to refresh yourself. And other than that, we would be at your disposal for all other media activities that you might need. Thank you very much, and enjoy the next couple of minutes.